last person who heard this story never slept peacefully again. For as long as Milo could remember, sleep had always been a struggle. As a teenager, he realized that it wasn't normal to lay awake for hours before falling asleep, only to get a few restless hours of sleep. He tried everything: melatonin, sleeping pills, exercise, alcohol, marijuana, therapy, yoga, and more. Nothing worked. Doctors couldn't find a cause, and eventually, Milo accepted that he would always be tired. But one night, he found something that worked, keeping a notepad on his nightstand to jot down his thoughts before sleep. The first night he tried it, he wrote, "I'm in bed. I want to sleep. I wish I could find out what it's like to dream." The next morning, he woke up feeling more rested than ever, realizing he'd slept for a full 8 hours. He couldn't believe it. He looked at his notepad and found more strange writing. "I hear a voice in the void. It is screaming, 'I can hear you.'" While unsettling, he brushed it off, thinking it was just the ramblings of a tired mind. The following night, he tried again, writing, "Was it a fluke? I hope I dream tonight." The next morning, he woke up refreshed again and remembered a dream of flying through beautiful mountains. On his notepad, the message read, "Enjoy the dream." It unnerved him, but he tried to ignore it, focusing on how amazing the dream had been. The third night, he wrote, "I loved the dream last night. I shouldn't let these creepy notes bother me." That night, his dream was calm, lying in his backyard, staring at the stars. He woke up to find, "Don't let it unnerve you. Just watch the stars. You'll soon walk among them." That sentence stayed with him all day, causing unease. Still, he continued the nightly ritual, even as strange dreams and notes continued. The fourth night, after writing, "I'm done stressing over these notes. It's worth it for a good night's sleep," he dreamed of a hazy mirror reflection, a dark silhouette, leaning closer as he did. When the figure waved at him, he woke with a racing heart. He looked at the notepad and found, "They're not from yourself. I see you." Terrified, he stopped writing the next night, but felt restless, knowing he couldn't sleep without the ritual. He decided to write again the following night, reassuring himself, "I'm myself. I'm writing these notes. There's no other explanation." That night, he dreamed of standing before a throne in a dark cavern, facing a shadowy figure. Drawn toward the throne, Milo found himself holding a key and unlocking a lock at the figure's command. Suddenly, he woke in his bed, drenched in sweat. He grabbed the notepad and read, "You are my bridge now. You are my dream. The throne awaits." His terror intensified, and he threw the notepad across the room. The next day, he was horrified to find that he had slept for 12 hours. He decided he would never use the notepad again, but the unsettling thoughts lingered. That night, as he felt unusually tired, Milo tried to resist sleep, but at midnight, exhaustion took over. That night, Milo dreamt of the dark cavern again, but this time, the figure spoke. It told him, "You are mine now, my bridge to reality. You will be my dream forever." Milo awoke, feeling as though he had crossed a line he couldn't come back from. He didn't want to acknowledge it, but part of him knew that whatever force he had invited into his dreams was no longer just a figment of his imagination. Exhausted but resolved, Milo lay awake the rest of the night, knowing he would never sleep in peace again. The nightmare wasn't over. It had just begun. But the reality was that the supernatural power he was indirectly interacting with was a person who also used to write his feelings in his diary, and he had special feelings towards his friend's girlfriend, and he wrote this down in his diary. And one day, his friend mistakenly looks into that diary and finds out that his friend has a crush on his girlfriend. And that same night, both the friends had an argument, and the argument gets heated up, and in the heat of the movement, his friend kills him with the same pen his friend used to write down in his diary. And that's the reason why that supernatural power used to interact with Milo by writing into his diary. Hit subscribe and don't dare miss what's coming next, or the next scream you hear might be your own.